Hello, everyone, and welcome in to your Friday favorite. Davis Mattek and Rich Hribar picking our favorite games against the spread. If you're new to this show, we're just hanging out here on a Friday morning. Maybe you're listening to this on Friday afternoon. Maybe you're listening on Saturday. The hard work of the week is done, Reebs. We got to see, man, Dallas and New York was almost a fun game last night. We were trending toward it being very fun. The New York Giants possessed the ball for like an hour of real time in the second quarter. That was pretty brutal, but we are here. We pick our 5 favorite games against the spread. We go in order from our least favorite to our most favorite. A pretty fun menu this week. We've got a couple games that should be high scoring. We've got the 49ers maybe getting a little bit more healthy, a good spot for the Chicago Bears. We might see some rookie quarterbacks continuing to improve. I mean, Reebs, I don't know where you've landed on this whole offensive apocalypse, but I officially, this is where I'm at. It's mostly coaching, quarterback, and offensive line play fault. And that if those things were all operating at a higher level, the defenses would continue to be at a disadvantage. That's where I'm at.
I mean, this is where I started. I wrote an article in July about this. I came on shows with you, and there was a reason why I kind of focused my draft approach on attacking what? The coaches. I talked about it all summer. I was like, I want to attack guys basically from this. It came out to be like 17 teams on my list because it was like the McShanahan coaching tree, which is like 13 teams. Then like Ben Johnson, Kellen Moore, Andy Reid. And it was like, I only really want to focus on drafting guys from these teams. And like, I have some one-offs, like Neighbors I thought was a value. I have some like, and I obviously grabbed Jaden Daniels, but I'm actually off to a really good start because I feel really strongly about that approach because I agree with you. I think that the coaching and offensive line play and quarterback play is like the heart of like all the issues of what's going on in the NFL.
Too bad Andy Reid is not also taking any heat of this. You know who the quarterback who's dead last in the entirety of the National Football League in average depth of target?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
It's Patrick Mahomes, man.
I made the comment, and it's flippant because it only ties to like fantasy football more than real life, but like they've turned Patrick Mahomes to Jared Goff.
Not honestly, not even. They've turned him into like Gardner Minshew, where it's like just execute the offense, buddy. Just execute the offense. That's all you need to do. I mean, this is such a personal gripe, and people do get so sick of me talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, but it's like materially impacting my enjoyment of watching them play because they're not playing with any joy either.
No,
They don't
the
care.
worst thing that's happened to this is the Chiefs defense became awesome.
Yep.
Like, because early on in the Mahomes era, they still like when the teams first started to calibrate and play, like when they saw Tyreek, and then they were kind of like the institution of the too high stuff, like them and then the Bengals. And the Chiefs, like, still their defense wasn't that great. So like they still had to score points. And now they just know that they can suffocate teams, and it's made it worse.
Yeah, can we just can like Chris Jones and Jalen Watson, can these dudes just take a vacation? Can they just like
I'm gonna have the spoiler alert. I'm gonna have the Chiefs on my card again because they just continue to.
they are going to be on my card too, but it actually has more to do with their opponent than it has
Yes,
to do with them.
they held on last week. They held on last week for me.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing when you are wagering on the Kansas City Chiefs is you do know they are going to get the most favorable whistle in the NFL. People want me to apologize for that, Reebs. I absolutely will not. All right, let's go ahead and get into it, and let's select our 5 favorite games against the spread. You can begin with your number 5. What is number 5 on your list, buddy?
I have a terrible pick here at 5. I actually think from a betting perspective, I think the under in this game is the better bet in this game than what I'm about to say. But it's the Cleveland Browns. Plus
Oh my
points.
god, dude.
I know. I get it.
I actually, so this one is not on my list. I think you are right. The data is going to suggest you're right. The Browns have much more talent on their team.
Show they should be favored in this game, so I feel like I'm getting the better end of the line. That's why I have it 5, because I think as we dig deeper in this, it's just like betting on the Browns, dude. Like, this team, like, the offensive line is absolutely terrible. The quarterback is absolutely terrible, and the offensive coaches, Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt, are doing nothing to calibrate. Like, there's like no adjustments being made on a weekly basis. But like Max Crosby's hurt. The Raiders are getting no pressure. They can't stop anybody. So like I said, I think the under in this game is actually a better bet. But I'm just saying, like, objectively, everything shows that I should be laying points here. So I'm going to take it and begrudgingly take a team I think is more talented. And Antonio Pierce also is not serious. This was just such a faux hire. I've been anti Antonio Pierce and anti this hire. He's already like pulling the quarterback and trying to pull, like, they won on the road a week prior against Baltimore, and like he pulls the quarterback the next week, and it's like, I'm unhappy with the performance. Guys are quitting at the end of games. Like, this is gonna be a thing all year with the Raiders, where like anytime they lose a game, like, this guy's just not a serious operation.
Correct. So this is why it's not on my list. The
Because Deshaun
Browns,
Watson and the Browns suck.
well, they do suck, but it's actually not even so much about them sucking. It's about Stefanski kind of going away from his roots in such a way that makes it harder for them to win games. I don't believe they're the top team in fantasy, in pass rate over expectation anymore, but they're in one of the top 5 PROE teams, which makes no sense given that Watson, I mean, he's even worse than he was last year. Like, this is like the worst football we've seen this guy play in the NFL.
I mean, they can't run the football either. That's the other problem.
Well, you could speak more to this than I could, but isn't the Browns offensive line supposed to be good, or
No,
is
they're
it
all
bad?
dead. They're all dead.
Okay, they're all injured.
Both
Yeah.
both tackles are out. They got one tackle back, Jedrick Wills, last week, who really is kind of average, but actually maybe probably below average. But
Yeah.
like, compared to what they were playing in James Hudson and DeJuan Jones, he's better than those guys. And then he got hurt in the game last week. James Hudson also got hurt in the game last week. And then Wyatt Teller got hurt in the game last week, and he's going to be out. So like, they're all dead. Nick Chubb's not playing yet. Jerome Ford's like a very boom or bust runner, like inherently. That's like who he is. And it's just gross. It's a gross, man. But I still show, like, from a talent perspective, like, I show that in my stuff they should be laying points here. So it is what it is.
Yeah, like I said, not on my list. Just like an uncomfortable
And
spot.
also, I will say, I think the under is better. The under is a better bet here.
I believe that. I completely believe that. I think that one is pretty good. All right, I've got one that I'm going to assume you are not on board with, but I'm going to take the Tampa Bay footballing Buccaneers. Getting, I guess it depends on your spot. You should be able to get a 2. Looks like 1.5. The unabated line is 1.5. I think it's fine to do 1.5. You just take I think you just probably take the money line with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home to the Eagles, and this one is pretty simple. But an offense that is devoid of A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith and relying on Jahan Dotson, Dallas Goedert, Johnny Wilson is going to have a prominent role in this game. Not sure how ready for primetime Mr. Johnny Wilson is. And obviously,
do you think he has a prominent role? Like, do you think that the Eagles, given their wide receivers, actually come out and play like a lot of 11 personnel in this game?
Yes, because their second tight end has been on the team for a long time, Grant Calcaterra. I believe this is his 3rd year on the team, and they just like have never played him over like 65% of the snaps. Even when Goddard was hurt, they were like running out.
They still have Alberto.
I believe he's on their practice squad. Let's check that out. He maybe not, but I also, and this pains me because I'm a big Kellen Moore guy. I am a big Jack Stoll is their other tight end. I'm a big Kellen Moore guy. I'm a big Jalen Hurts guy. But this is we talk about this a lot in the NFL, where it's like cluster injuries, where it impacts you all at once.
Lane Johnson's also hurt.
Yeah, Lane Johnson. I thought maybe he was going to be able to come back, but
I don't know. We'll have to wait till Friday. I don't think he's practiced yet, though.
Yeah. So basically, it's like the Eagles are, and their Slay is injured as well, who's like their only defensive back whose name I even know. So if the only defensive back whose name I know is also injured, that seems like a bit of an issue. And the Buccaneers can't run the ball. The Buccaneers, it's unclear what Todd Bowles is going to be able to do. Although remember, this is a rematch of the playoff game where the all-time bad vibes Eagles got ran out of the building by the Buccaneers. But literally, to me, this is a lot to put on Jalen Hurts' plate. without his two best players that the entire offense is built around. And obviously it's low conviction because I think the Eagles are the better team. So it's not going to surprise me if this one is wrong. But I do like a little home underdog spot here.
I don't have this one, but I mean, there are reasons to believe the Bucks, could bounce back from the, losing to Bo Nix at home, which is not great. I wish they could pressure the passer a little bit more, but that you look at the history of Jalen Hurts against Todd Bowles. He's 1-3 against Todd Bowles, only 4 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Jalen Hurts is the most blitzed quarterback against Todd Bowles that he's faced multiple times. He's blitzed him on 44% of his dropbacks. That's, like I said, the highest rate for a quarterback that
Which
Bowles
totally makes sense
yeah.
on how you would want to approach him because he is a quarterback who kind of relies on his athleticism and is like not always the greatest decision maker. And, he looks a little, again, big Jalen Hurts guy. He does look a little bit slower to me this year. I don't know. I don't know what that is about, but he looks a little bit less mobile to me.
And when he's been pressured this year, he's been awful. He's averaging just 3.5 yards per pass attempt when pressured compared to 9.8 when kept clean. So if the Bucks can get home, they haven't been getting home with the blitz these first 3 games. That was a problem last week. They're actually dead last in the NFL in sack differential. So they need to get home. They're giving up a lot of sacks as well on offense. But I mean, yeah, I don't hate it. This just has like so many guys injured because the Bucks still have a bunch of guys injured. It looks like Vita Vea is actually going to come back and play though, but Antoine Winfield's still going to be out. But I think I would choose probably the Bucks side if you twisted my arm. But it's just I feel like this game could let down for fantasy purposes. This game I feel like could let down too.
Oh yes, yeah. People are really jazzed about Godwin and Evans. I'm like, I don't know. It might not be the week for them if this game just ends up like kind of stinking. I know the Eagles secondary. Everyone wants to pick on the Eagles secondary, but I agree with you. All right, that was my number 5. What is your number 4?
My 4, I think I'm going to take the cheese here. And I do think the Bengals win this game. I think the Bengals win their first game, but I want to take the points with the Panthers.
Okay, I have the Bengals as my 3.
Okay. Yeah, I'm hoping that they can cover here. The 4.5, I feel like they could get here because I think they're going to be able to move the football again. You look at what we were looking when they made this transition from Bryce Young to Andy Dalton, a level of competency to judge kind of where the baseline of the offense was. Now they definitely exceeded expectations. I don't think we're going to see Andy Dalton throw for 320 and 3 basically regularly, but what they did on offense, because we knew they signed a bunch of dudes in the offensive line. They spent $100 million on 2 guards. They also have a good right tackle in Taylor Moton. Like this offensive line should have on paper worked, and it wasn't working early in the season with Bryce Young. So I think they're going to be fine here against a team that just gets no pressure. Trey Hendrickson's the only guy that can get pressure on the Bengals defensive line. And when they haven't created pressure against the opposing quarterback, they've just been absolutely just flooded. They're allowing an 82% completion rate when they don't pressure the opposing quarterback, 8.2 yards per pass attempt. That's 30th and 25th in the NFL. Dalton got rid of the ball the fastest time of any quarterback last week, 2.01 seconds to throw. On throws under 2.5 seconds, he was 22 of 29. Bryce Young on throws under 2.5 seconds in weeks 1 and 2, 31st in the league with a 48.8 rating, 4.3 yards per pass attempt, 2 interceptions. Just absolutely dreadful. So I think they're going to move the football. I do think that Burrow particularly is going to be probably underplayed in DFS this week. I think the Bengals are going to move the football a lot too. I'm just kind of looking for this to be like a 3-point game. Maybe you get a little backdoor here. The 4.5, through the key number here, I can get there. But I think this game is the DFS game. This is the DFS game, I think.
So I think I like that angle. I like this game being maybe even better for DFS than Washington, Arizona. Better than New Orleans, Atlanta. I like that. Let me tell you why I have the Cincinnati Bengals. The first one is I think that the Andy Dalton thing, we've been so breathless in our praise of him this week. Again, intimately familiar with Andy Dalton. I've watched.
But you led with this into open. Do you think it's a coincidence that the past 3 years we've had guys like Andy Dalton, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith? There's a reason these guys are having success now, because if you can win in the pocket, even at a baseline level now in the NFL against all this zone coverage, that actually matters. I don't think it's a coincidence that these types of guys that we thought were like the purgatory quarterbacks are having like a renaissance.
I'll go one further, and I'm gonna be arguing against my own point here, but I'll go even further on this, which is that these guys like Dalton, like Geno, like Flacco, we saw, coming off the couch, Reebs, they have been seeing these reads that are stymieing Jaden Daniels and Drake May and these young guys, Anthony Richardson. They've been seeing these back when the two high safeties was the meta, back when that was what college defenses were playing 15 years ago, what NFL defenses were playing in its original iteration. So the idea of they've already seen it. They've already put their reps in against these defenses many, many times, right? So it's just they're not having to learn a new skill. They're not having and just in general, I mean, think of how many reps Andy Dalton has had under center in his life compared to how many reps Bryce Young has had in his life. It's just so different. But why am I on the Bengals? Why are the Bengals my 3? The first is the Bengals are going to be able to run on this team. And when you're the better team, being able to run is pretty big. And especially in this NFL, like Chase Brown is averaging 6.5 yards per carry. Zach Moss is, I believe, 11th in the NFL in success rate. He's had two, in my mind, 2 really nice rushes where like the play looked dead and he kept going. The Bengals seem to have like maybe the worst defense in the NFL, like Giants level defense. It's really, really bad. But the offense, I think, yeah. I mean, I think we saw last weekend they get T. Higgins back. The offense seems like fine, like maybe even better than fine.
They're scoring points here.
Yeah. And I do think my take is like 1 week of watching Andy Dalton execute this offense does not an above league average offense make, in my opinion. So like I think the Panthers actually do probably have the coaching edge, but I think the Bengals have like the skill position player edge, the quarterback edge. They are like I also this is a classic Bill Simmonsism, but this is like such a Vegas zone. Like 4.5 point road favorite is like such a weird spot. The Panthers will probably be the sharp side, and the Bengals will probably be the donkey side. But I've got I do have the Cincinnati Bengals as my number 3.
I mean, definitely, like I said, I could definitely see where I end up looking back on this as just a trap spot. I'm just looking for a cover though.
Just looking.
This is the over though, where I said that my first game was like bet the under is a better bet. I actually think the over is a better bet in this one.
Yeah, I would love for this game to go over for fantasy purposes. All right,
this is my favorite game for DFS though, for sure.
Okay, you like this better than Commanders Cardinals?
Yeah, because I think that the way the price points layer up are better. Whereas I mean is that you have like the clear like alpha, like you pay up for Chase, right? If you want, or you pay up for Burrow, you can pay down for Dalton versus Burrow, right? Like there's like a big gap where like Kyler and Jaden Daniels are kind of a wash at salary. And then the ancillary guys I think are cheaper. You get really cheap Deontay again, who's in another nut spot as underpriced. We saw the high target share he had last week. Also, I think Xavier Legette is like an interesting kind of pay down play because he ran a route. Because the thing about Legette versus like Dortch and Michael Wilson in the Commanders game is Legette is like big play upside. Like he's a guy that can like have like a 40-yard catch, whereas like Dortch and Wilson have to have a lot of volume, I think, to get there or get a touchdown. Legette can have a huge play at his price point. And then you kind of have like the Chuba Hubbard and Zach Moss, really cheap angles of this game. You can pay down, if you want to take a shot at like, Eric All or Gesicki. Like there's just a lot of options, I think, in this game that I'm really kind of drawn to.
Yep, I'm with you. All right, so I need to do my number 4. So my number 4 is just because it's so many points, but it's the San Francisco 49ers who are playing at home to the New England Patriots. I really wish that you could. Is there anywhere to find a 10? Does not look like there's anywhere to find a 10. Yeah, I'm going the San Francisco 49ers. The Patriots can't move the ball. They can't run the ball. They're the only team in the NFL that doesn't have an explosive pass play. Through 3 weeks, no explosive pass plays. I know the 49ers, like classic last week. That was a classic Kyle Shanahan and McVay. Like Wait, isn't it Shanahan owns McVay?
It's historically, historically,
Yeah.
it's been the
Well,
opposite.
McVay owns Shanahan hard,
And
and
they were up 10 points. That's a bad 49ers loss.
extremely bad 49ers loss. They are probably getting George Kittle back this week, which is pretty big. I hate betting on the 49ers without Debo. I really do. I think it was pretty clear in that game that Debo is kind of the straw that stirs the drink.
But you
the
gotta feel real
49ers,
good about Purdy with no guys. Like, Purdy balled out. And I know it was the Rams, but, like, Purdy was awesome in that game.
yes. Yeah. Um he was very good. He did miss.
Yeah, you missed Ayuk on the one,
He
but that
missed
happens.
he,
You can
yeah,
do
that
that with
happens.
in any NFL game, you can go and find plays where, like, a guy was open and was missed, man.
Completely. Yeah. No, that's totally true. But it's like so basically the way I'm looking at this game is, can the Patriots get to 14? And I'm like, man, I don't know. The offensive line is terrible. It's as bad as all the New England Patriots fans said it was. Um the defense like looked kind of stout in week 1 against the Bengals, and then maybe we learned that the Bengals are just like maybe this year's all bad vibes team. This is just and they're definitely. I would hear an argument. By the way, that 10.5 points is just too much in this version of the NFL where teams are not scoring enough points. That's why it's my number 4. But yeah, I am. I got the 49ers at home to the Patriots here.
I don't have it just 'cause it's so many points, but yeah, I mean, you look at Brock Purdy right now, he has 30 completions on throws 10 yards or further downfield. The next closest quarterback's at 19. The Patriots have 2 on the year. It's just gross, man. It's like, they kind of teased us the first 2 weeks. I think gamers that like had Ramondre Stevenson were like, "Oh, this might not be as bad. Like, they might put up more of a fight and keep Ramondre in games." And then just like week 3 was like exactly what we kind of were worried about. It was like,
Exactly what we were worried
it was like,
about.
oh, this is gross. They were
Yeah.
that team, and they probably will start mixing in May a little bit each game. I mean, that kind of makes
Yeah,
sense to me.
they're down by 20, and then May gets a couple series there at the end.
I think it's fine to not start May, but I think they should start playing him a little bit each game. Like, just they don't have to throw him out there the entire game and have him just die, but like just give him some reps every week. This used to be like a way quarterbacks used to get introduced into the NFL, like where they would just like guys would just kind of come in and play. They wouldn't start. So like that's what they should do, man, with him.
For sure.
If
All right,
if you just throw May out there to start, like he's just gonna die, man.
He's gonna die. Yeah. This obviously is the concern, is the backdoor cover. Yeah. And they have had 10 days of rest, so they have the rest advantage, which is not great, but the skill level gap between these teams is quite high. All right, Mr. Hribar, what's your number 3?
I can't even believe we're here, but actually I do believe we're here. But it's kind of this thing we just have to get on board with. I have the Jets, man. This is another one that I show it should be like 8.5, 9.5, like in that area. They're doing everything under Aaron Rodgers we thought they were going to do, right? Like, this is still a team that has a very good defense. They play ball control offense. They don't turn the football over. This is like the type of team you love to bet on. They convert a high rate of third downs. They've already converted a league high rate of 57% of their third downs. They were dead last in the NFL in this department last year. They didn't even score. They have as many touchdowns now as they had like through week 9 of last year. Like, it's like absolutely insane, like the night and day difference. And we knew there was a big difference between the quarterbacks that they've run out the last 2 years versus Aaron Rodgers. But we just talked about like the success that Bo Nix had last week and the Broncos had. I don't think it's going to be translatable against this Jets defense. This is the game that's probably boring. It's probably like 24-10 or like 24-3 or something. But yeah, I mean, this is the type of team you want to bet on. The Jets are a team that just don't turn the ball over and play good defense.
So, are you not worried about how
I'm not worried about
slow?
anything.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. So, 2 things on my end. The first being the Jets are just they play so fucking slow. They play so slow. It's so annoying. It is so annoying to me to watch Aaron Rodgers do his greed, just sit there and take it to double zeros every single time. Now, obviously, the thing that you do really like, and I think the same thing is correlated with the reason why I like the 49ers in this day and age, the way kind of one of the things I'm doing to adapt is like teams that can just really run the ball, that can generate explosives running the ball, and they're going to have above average success rate running the ball, you like them much more as favorites. So Bo Nix, I was like really impressed with how well he ran last week. I mean, I knew he could do it, but I don't think this applies so much to the Jets because the Jets are going to maintain lane discipline. That Buccaneers defense, they were just letting Bo Nix get whatever he wanted. There was absolutely no discipline in the pass rush at all. They were like just trying to get to him by any means necessary. Maybe that's a Bulls thing. I don't think Robert Saleh is going to have his guys leaving totally 15 acres of space for Bo Nix to run into.
I mean, this defense is just it's so much better than the Bucks defense. And the thing about Bo Nix, while he had a good game in the box score and he ran, like he still is just leaving clean pockets. Like I don't like it's just like a huge problem with him early in the season. Like he just doesn't feel comfortable, and I think it's why he's running so much. Is he's not comfortable as a drop back passer right now at the stage where he is in the NFL. So this is, like I said, I think this is gonna be real boring. I feel very similar to this and teaser, the Chiefs game, where I feel like it's going to be just like a boring ass game, but the other team's just not going to score enough points.
I think I'm with you. I just don't. I mean, also, I'm just like so philosophically opposed to betting on Hackett and Rodgers. Like this is like a collection of some of my least favorite guys. I'm like I've always been lower than consensus on Garrett Wilson this whole time. All that stuff. Braylon Allen though. Braylon Allen could rope me into rooting for the New York Football Jets.
And the thesis on Braylon Allen was so simple. And I remember doing a show with you, and you just said like the guy was, 18 years old and had 17 years old and had 1,400 yards. Like, why don't we just believe that aspect of it, and just let that be the only data point we care about?
It's a pretty good data point. Okay, we already did my three. My three was the Cincinnati Bengals plus 4.5 on the road. So I've got 2 picks left. You've got 2 picks left. One of ours is going to be the same, and I'm assuming that that one of my picks is not going to be on your list at all. Your number 1 is going to be my number 2, but I will let you do your number 2 right now.
My two, I'm going 3 weeks in a row, man. I'm going to keep taking it. Until they lose me money is the Steelers. As these short dogs, actually short favorites and short dogs. Like they just keep getting there every week. I think this is actually a game where we can actually see them have some offensive like upside too. Every team that's played the Indianapolis Colts has run their most plays in a game this season. They're in a hurry to get nowhere because the offense is so inconsistent. We talked about this actually with the Colts. Their offense, like when it's working, it looks unstoppable. And then when it's not working, it looks like the worst offense that you could possibly watch in the NFL. So teams are just running a ton of plays against them. I like this as an in-dual matchup stance because, without DeForest Buckner, they probably aren't going to be able to slow down the Steelers kind of what they want to do offensively. It's really weird that when I made this kind of correlation that the Arthur Smith in this, what they've done is kind of what they've done is similar to Brian Daboll did 2 years ago with Daniel Jones. It's not like a complete overlap, but like what they've asked Justin Fields to do is restructure his game. They're giving him basically 1 to 2 reads, like a high-low read. If it's not there, you run and just don't turn the ball over. His air yards are basically cut in half from his career rate coming into the season. He's not taking sacks and he's not turning the ball over. And then the other side of this ball, the other side of the ball is like the Steelers defense. Although they have not faced good quarterbacks, we inherently know that they're an above average defense. And what we've seen this Colts offense do is struggle against defenses that aren't as good as the Pittsburgh Steelers to this point. So I have a hard time seeing like how the Colts generate enough Jonathan Taylor explosive runs, because that's the only good part of their offense through 3 weeks. And that was how the Chargers lived, right? Like the Chargers for 2 weeks lived on explosive runs, and the Steelers completely took those out of their arsenal last week, and they just dog walked them in the second half of that game. Feel that kind of very similar to this in this game environment, that the Steelers are just going to control this game.
Anthony Richardson feels both impossible to bet on and bet against. I feel like I really learned my lesson with Anthony Richardson in that Packers game, where I'm like, dude, Anthony Richardson can do anything. Anthony Richardson can complete a 70-yard air yard bomb to Alec Pierce with the defender hanging off of his waist, and he can throw the worst interception you've ever seen. What I'm hoping to see from Shane Steichen is more designed runs, and also encourage this guy to scramble. I mean, Gretsch was all over this in the offseason. JJ wrote a lot about this. You had stuff on this in the worksheet and in your offseason stuff. You would think Anthony Richardson would be a big runner. You'd look at him, you'd look at how he plays, you'd be like, this guy has to have the same scramble rate as Jaden Daniels. And then you look at it and he never takes off. And I wonder, I mean, why do you think that is? Do you think it's just he hasn't played enough? Do you think it's that he's been coached not to do it? Like, why is Anthony Richardson not just gaining 60 yards a game on scrambles, like just like beating safeties? I don't get it at all.
My only philosophy on it is that he's been throughout this point in his career, he's so big and he's such a big arm that like he's never really kind of like had to. Like he can take the hits and like he can throw, and he obviously can make any he can realistically make any throw. He doesn't always know where it's going, but he has the arm strength. He has the arm strength to make any throw, though.
It's so frustrating to watch him and know that he, like, when he misses, I'm like, dude, I know you can make that because I know you can make a throw that's 10 times harder than that. Some of the throws Anthony Richardson can make, like literally no one else in the NFL can make. I actually, Reebs, it's funny that this game was on your list because I've literally vacillated back and forth on this one the entire time. I've been like, oh my God, this is a generational wealth spot for the Steelers. You think Tomlin is losing to Anthony Richardson? And then I was like, wait, is this generational wealth to be like,
that would be peak Tomlin, though. That's the one thing, because I brought it up when I bet the Steelers. I brought him up on this show when I did the Broncos game, and I'm like, this is like ultimate, like Tomlin like goes and like ruins the, because like the Steelers historically have always like played down to their opponent. So I'm still waiting for that to happen. It's just they keep winning me money, so I'm gonna ride it.
Yes. It's like and also, you know, I'm so hesitant to buy into the Arthur Smith thing, you know, although to your point, of course the Arthur Smith stuff it's exactly what it's like, the offense that Justin Fields can execute immediately right now. I wonder if they give up the charade with Russell Wilson at some point, do you think they open up the offense anymore? Because the thing about Fields that's so interesting, he's not a particularly great quarterback because he is his processing speed is too low.
Yeah.
That's why he takes so many sacks. He is like insanely accurate. He is like a
he actually is a good thrower of the football.
Yes. So and like I definitely would not ever close the door on Fields becoming an above average NFL quarterback. It's very unlikely because of the sacks. But that, you know, the guys can get better. Guys can get smarter.
And this era of the NFL is, I think, made it tough on his style because, you know, go back to Ohio State and like why some of those guys haven't translated is because they were never pressured. You know, that's why Fields never developed a quick game. And they were throwing to like all world wide receivers. Like they had all the time in the world and they're throwing the ball, you know, on these like 15-yard digs and these deep crossing routes. And like that stuff doesn't work. Like the current NFL, like that's just not what is getting there. Like defenses aren't giving that up. But I have the official stats from the Anthony Richardson this year. He only has 6 scrambles, the same amount as Jacoby Brissett and Joe Burrow. He's 28th in scramble rate since he entered the NFL when he's pressured. This year, he has a lower scramble rate when pressured than Aaron Rodgers and Jared Goff. It's only 8.3%. So, like, to provide some context, Jaden Daniels, when he gets pressured this year, is scrambling on 42% of his dropbacks. Josh Allen 28%, Lamar Jackson 25%, Fields 18%. So like he's like in a different level than those guys. He's just hanging in the pocket and he wants to make these throws. It's funny because it's like a win-win for the defense. He's not running and he can't he's not completing the passes.
It's really something. All right, so that was a number 2 that you didn't pick. I will do a number 2.
You have the Chiefs?
Yes. Yeah. The Kansas City Chiefs are not my number 1. They are my number 2. Why are they not my number 1? Because they don't fucking deserve it, Rich. They just don't. You know, I need to see a little bit more seriousness. What this line is implying to me is that Justin Herbert is not playing with this ankle sprain. If he does, is that your read as well that Herbert is not playing?
He says he wants to play. He hasn't practiced at all week. And even if he does play, it has to be like last week. What happens if he just gets rolled on one time? Neither tackle's playing this game. Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater are out.
Yeah. So it's Gimpy, Herbert behind a worse version of their offensive line, or Taylor Heineke with the worst version of their offensive line.
And Derwin James is out.
Derwin James is out. All due respect to Quentin Johnston, they have no difference making pass catcher at all. Like QJ scored some touchdowns. And honestly, dude, I'm like happy for him. Like it's always kind of sad to see these guys bust. So like good for him to score some touchdowns. And like if he's helping your best ball teams also, shout out there. So I am worried about this. I'm worried the game. I'm not even worried. The game is going to be gross.
Yeah,
like,
I think this is Jets Broncos. Like I said, I think this is the Chiefs just kind of meander their way to like a 21-3 win, or like 24-10. Like,
yes,
that's my read on it.
The one thing I don't know how many weeks of the season we're gonna do this, but like, do you think it is possible that at any point these dudes wake up and they're like, can we have some fun, man? Can we play some gosh dang football? Can we do Andy? To
be fair, they were counting on Hollywood Brown.
Yes.
Then that component's been removed. And Xavier Worthy to this point, and I believe this is where it has to change. It has to be
he's got to be a 20% target share guy.
Well, he has to get real wide receiver targets for this to work. Like right now through 3 weeks, all of his touches are basically just like quick hitters and jet sweeps. He had the one blown coverage target downfield, but like he has to win as an actual wide receiver for this to work. And they were counting on Hollywood Brown to do that, and that's been removed.
It's that actually is like a little bit of and that kind of surprised me, honestly. Like I was pro Hollywood Brown during like best ball season and stuff, but thinking about all the ranges of outcomes for the Chiefs, I do think it's pretty clear they were planning on Hollywood being a pretty real.
Mahomes talked about it. In the preseason, Mahomes talked about the routes Hollywood Brown was running. He was like, he's not a deep threat. He's able to run like all these intermediate routes. They were clearly going to use him in that capacity as a level up from the Rashee Rice underneath stuff.
Yeah. And the Chiefs defense is great. They're great. They're generating turnovers. They get it. They generate pressure consistently. Like they just are they're a good football team. I wonder how differently we do feel about this team if they if they stopped kicking field goals from the 1 yard line. Like if those two possessions where they kicked the 1 yard or the 19-yard field goals, if those are just both touchdowns, we do probably feel differently about them, honestly. Like it really is probably that simple.
I mean, Andy's made some weird choices this year in terms of game theory.
That's just what he does, bro.
Yeah, because even in the Bengals game, it was really odd to see them with that much clock just like kind of be like, we're gonna settle for like a 55-yard field goal. It's like you can get closer. Like and they're like, nah, we're pretty good.
We're good. We're chilling. I mean, yeah, you got.
But the defense is good. My thesis on this game is like you said, is the other side is, how many points do the Chargers have to get for them to cover this game?
17.
And can you believe they're scoring 17 with no tackles?
Not with Heineke and not without something insane happening. Not like a it'd have to be like a Mahomes pick six or a busted coverage thing. But like if just in a normal game, no, I really don't think so.
And that's the only reason why I have it is it's the combination of.
So that was your one.
Yep.
So what was your two? Did I miss that? The Steelers. Okay. All right then. Yeah, we've got another week where my number one is not on your list, and I mean I feel like
two of the three have covered. I think you've done had two.
This one and the Colts. Jesus Christ! I mean that was embarrassing for everyone involved. I mean I thought Reebs when I pulled lines up on Monday morning, I thought it was mislisted. I have the Arizona Cardinals here.
You are every week. I knew you were gonna have the Cardinals.
Yeah. Yes, we will do every week when we finish this off. We will fire an underdog player prop. I mean, look, I'm happy for Jaden Daniels. I'm honestly happy for Cliff. Really, because Cliff is part of that coaching tree that I really love. The air raid, just run mesh every play and score a bunch of points stuff. But that's fucking insane, dude. The Cardinals are better. Straight up They're just a better football team. They have better wide receivers. I guess I can't speak to their defensive line quality. The Cardinals weren't even dead last week. You're gonna like the box score watch is gonna be like, oh, the Cardinals were non-competitive. I mean, basically the defense just couldn't get fucking David Montgomery off the field, you know? And
Which is what I told you. I
you
told you
did,
that's
you
gonna
did,
happen.
you did, you did. To 100% credit to you, you did tell me. But I'm gonna keep right. Like I basically think the Cardinals are like a point and a half better than the market does, like every week. That is my personal take. I believe in Kyler. I really like. I think what Petzing has done. It did not look very pretty last week. It was pretty close though. Kyler just missed on an end zone throw to Marvin Harrison. Like it's not nothing. Also, this is
They're gonna be fine here. I told you my worry always with the Cardinals is when they're in a matchup like against the Lions where they can't run the football, and we had a good idea coming into that game they weren't going to be able to run the football because nobody runs on the Lions. That that Petzing's one shortcoming is he has not created a creative passing game. So my worry was like if the run game gets shut down, they're just not going to be able to do enough through the air like on their own. But that's not going to be an issue here. I think they're going to be able to run the football. I think it's a big James Conner game. Everything's going to be working. Commanders, number 1 in the NFL in yards per drive on offense, number 32 in yards allowed per game per drive on defense. It's the perfect cocktail.
It's gonna be beautiful. Yeah, and like Daniel's also, the mistakes have not, like, he's got some rookie mistakes in him. I don't know. To me, this is like way too much respect for a bad defense. What's their run game gonna look like when it's just Brian Robinson Jr.? That is also like an open. Like I'm a little bit interested in that. I mean, Jaden probably runs like 14 times in this game, I guess.
And this game's gonna be a ton of fun.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. So that's my one.
Yeah,
there you go, man.
I just know you're gonna go with Cardinals every week.
Let's see. Who do this will be a good bit. Who do they play? What is the Cardinals?
What's the look ahead week 5 Cardinals line?
Yeah, Arizona Cardinals schedule.
Do they play the 49ers next week?
I probably won't take them against the 49ers. I probably won't take them against the Packers. Chargers, Dolphins, Bears. Yeah, that's a lock. That's a lock. I'll be. Yeah. So you guys can just go ahead and write that in. All right, Reebs. I've got some profit boosts sitting here waiting for me. I've got I'm not gonna use my $1,000 max, but I will use the 20% profit boost, 25% max. I've got 5 of these left. Oh, it's fucking beautiful. Let's fire, man. Let's begin. So what's your favorite spot?
All right, I got one for you to look up. What is George Pickens' longest reception?
22 yards.
This is one I like.
Oh, I thought you were asking me to guess his longest on the year.
Well, sure, you could guess it too, but
wow, pretty spot on by me. 21 and a half.
Ooh, receiving yards look good too. 50, actually, that one might be better.
Bang. All right.
Yeah.
Can I interest you in an Aaron Jones?
Yes, anything Aaron Jones,
touchdown.
I'm in on everything Aaron Jones this week.
My man knows the goods, which is that Aaron Jones is getting his revenge. Touchdown, Aaron Jones, higher 0.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns. Put it on the board. There we go.
How about the guy that we just talked about, James Conner? What does James Conner have cooking?
James Conner on Underdog.
Love him in DFS this week too. This week.
James Conner. I'm gonna guess his stuff is pretty high. Yeah, 71.5 rushing yards and 17 rush attempts is a bit. That seems high.
Do you want him for a tud too?
I'll take. Yeah. We'll take James Conner for a tud. What do our guy? People don't know this, but Brian Robinson Jr. is like the number 1 most discussed player in the group chat that has myself, Reebs.
Well, because we took a 0 RB team in a main event, and we took Brian Robinson. Silva came and dunked on us, and I had the line during the show. I was like, "You're gonna be grateful we have."
You're gonna be grateful.
So it's turned into a bit like every week.
What do we like better, 64.5 rushing yards or 16 rushing attempts? I could be sold either way, or touchdown.
I like kind of a lot of his stuff. If you go back to last year, and it was not Cliff wasn't there, but when Antonio Gibson missed, he caught a bunch of passes too.
Caught
So
a bunch of passes.
So like total yards from scrimmage might not be bad. Like what's the combo? 80,
85 and a half.
The receiving even was it 2.5 catches or 16.5 receiving yards is kind of fun.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Because it's a low number. You can get it on kind of one catch.
You can get it on
a ton
one.
of screens. They run a ton of screens. Yeah, I kind of like that.
Okay, there we go. Let's click on the let's find a Carolina Cincinnati one that we like, because we both like that game.
Leggett got anything fun?
Leggett. I have this one in a bunch of mine. I have higher 35.5 and higher 17.5 longest reception on Leggett.
Okay. Yeah, listen, whatever you fire, baby.
All right, we're cooking. We're gonna go receiving yards.
And if you're new to this, there will not be an under on this.
Unders, bro. We are not logging on at the end of our beautiful Friday and taking lowers. That is not what Reebs and I are about. Not even close. All right, there we go. Who else is interesting to you, Reebs?
Who else do we like this week? We kind of covered some of those games.
Do you like the Kelsey touchdown? Are you buying the narrative?
Ooh, I can go with that. I also like Jaden Reed stuff. I don't know what we want to correlate our Aaron
love
Jones.
Jaden Reed stuff. The Jaden Reed stuff is way underpriced.
48. Yeah, baby.
It's crazy. Yeah. Do you like touchdown, yards, receptions?
I mean, I like those 48.5 yards for sure. Especially getting Jordan Love back. Just a little tease on this. If you want a tournament play this week with Jaden Reed, the Vikings obviously play blitz a lot, but they play a lot of cover 2 and stuff, too high stuff behind those looks, and obviously that's like pre-snap movement. But Jaden Reed is the number 1 targeted player with Jordan Love in the game against zone coverage. Last year when these teams played, he was targeted on 30% of his routes. And also in 2 of the 3 games, a slot receiver has led the team in targets against the Vikings. So love some Jaden Reed this week.
I like a Zach Moss tutty. Are you in on it?
Sure.
It's pretty clear that is the way they want to use him. Let's see what the price is. We're getting a little multiplier there. All right, Zach Moss touchdown. All right, we need one more pick. Is there anything fun Sunday night? Is there a fun sweat here on Sunday night?
I don't know. Is there? Do you have something you like on that?
Interesting, by the way.
What's James Cook receiving yards?
Oh, it's very low. I took this with Liam yesterday.
Yeah, all right. Then that's probably. Oh, yeah.
17.5.
Let's do that.
All right. Let's see if the other day it wouldn't let me enter this. All right. Using my profit boost, 8 correct is going to net me roughly 2,500 American dollars. And bang. Okay, there we go. George Pickens, higher, 50.5 receiving yards. Aaron Jones, higher, touchdowns. Connor Tudd, receiving yards for Brian Robinson Jr. Xavier Leggett, 35.5 receiving yards. Jaden Reed, 48.5 receiving yards. Zach Moss, Tudd. James Cook, 17.5 receiving yards. I will share that link. I will put it in the description.
Love it.
And
I look forward to those. This is a fun add to this.
It is fun. Yeah, I'm loving this stuff. Dude, I had an 8-legger invalidated by 1 leg last weekend, and I was so close. Of course you did. Night. I was so close. Yeah, it is. I mean, that is the way it goes.
Did you see that report, that FanDuel report?
No.
So there was a report. So since gambling sports betting has become legal, and it obviously has progressed. So from 2019 till now, parlays are up 40% on FanDuel as bets. Like,
I'm surprised it's not 140%. I'm surprised. I'm surprised anyone even does straight money line wagers anymore. Like, it's just I love this stuff because I'm not. My position in life, I don't want to really bet $1,000 on an NFL game. Like, I think those lines are really good.
We talk about all the time.
Yeah, it's just kind of hard to really gain an edge. So I think this stuff, I just find the DFS pick'em entries to be like way more fun. Yeah, needed needed a 47-yard Jalen Tolbert reception would have gotten Dak and like I do because you can do ladders on these. So like I took like
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb higher 130 receiving yards, Malik Neighbors higher 100 receiving yards. So like all this stuff. And I needed a long Tolbert one to get Dak and Tolbert over the yardage, and it didn't quite happen. This is a good question. What's more annoying? Guy who wants to tell you about how his parlay just missed, or guy who wants to talk to you about his fantasy team? It's pretty fucking difficult. It's pretty hard to decide which one is worse. Reebs, you got to get out of here. You are going to be going and doing your show with High Low. Or do you guys do that on YouTube?
Yeah, it's live.
He should tell him to message me, and next week I can just redirect this show for anyone who is on this program. I can redirect it right there, so they don't even have to they don't even have to log off. It'll just transition right over.
Yeah. Out the door here. We were running our points promo this week, but since after the first quarter the game sucked, we pivoted because there's only 35 points scored last night. And we usually do as many points are scored in the game. That's the discount you get. But we pivoted because we gave out as player props Rico Dowdle's over for rushing attempts and rushing yards. And combined, he had 57. So if you use promo code RICO at the site, you can get 57% off anything you want.
57% off at sharpfootball.com. All right, guys, make sure that you go and follow Reebs over to the show with High Low. I will be back in 2 hours for an entire show of building DFS pick'em entries with the unabated tools. My guest today is going to be none other than Large Anthony, Big T44 from Run Pure Sports, is hopping on the show. We're gonna build some shippers.
Professional cornhole player, Big T.
Professional cornhole player, Big T, will be on the program. So I'll see you guys all back in 2 hours. See y'all then. I hope you have a great Friday.